Hey everybody, Kennis Russell here. Hope you're doing awesome. Hey, listen, I wanted to do a follow-up video on my previous video, which is called How to Spot a Fake Fender in Seconds. It was a really popular video, actually my most watched video right off the bat that I've ever had. So if you've watched that video, thank you so much for watching and liking and commenting and all of that. It was really fun making it. Anyway, there was a bunch of comments. This is just a follow-up on that video where I answered the most common questions in comments that were addressed in the comment sections of YouTube. So just to recap, you know, I was at this music store and there was a Squier guitar that had the logo rubbed off on the headstock, and somebody put on a Fender water slide. So essentially making it a fake Fender, trying to pass it off as a real Fender, even though it was not. Probably the most common, I guess I would say, comment made is that Squiers are Fenders. So how can it be a fake Fender if it's a Squier with the Fender logo on it? Okay. So this kind of gets into, I guess it's more controversial than I thought, but Squiers are not Fenders. Squiers are made by Fender, but that's not the brand that they're branding it as. They're branding it as Squier, and that's what they're branding it as. And you see this all the time in different products and different things. You know, my dad has a Nissan Armada. Nissan makes it, but then Nissan, I guess, owns Infiniti as well, and it literally the exact same car they make in the Infiniti. It's the same engine. The only thing that's different is the interior is, like, you know, upgraded significantly, okay? And it's called the Q something, I don't remember what the number, Q56, something like that. Anyway, but if you look at it from a distance, they look exactly the same. The only difference is the logos. From the outside, if you were to take a Nissan Armada and put on Infiniti logos on it instead of Nissan, you could probably pass it off as an Infiniti, but it's not. It's not an Infiniti, it's a Nissan, okay? Just because the same company makes something doesn't mean that it is both of those things. Another example might be counterfeit bills. You know, one of the ways that they people counterfeit is they'll take like $5 bills, rub off all the ink somehow. I have no idea how. I don't want to know how, because I don't want to be arrested and put in prison the rest of my life for even knowing that information. But somehow that's what they do, is they will rub off all the ink, okay? And then, so the bill itself is real, but then they'll print on different, you know, like a $20 bill or a $50 bill onto that bill. Going on the logic that our Squier with the Fender logo on it is not a fake Fender is the same logic to say that if you have a $5 bill that the ink's been rubbed off or washed off and you put $20 ink on it, it's still a real $20 bill because it's made by the US government. No, it's a fake. Even though it has basically the same parts to it, it doesn't mean it's real just because it was made by the US government. Fenders and Squiers are not the same thing. They're made by the same company, but they are different levels of their guitars. Now, I will say this, there's nothing wrong with the Squier guitar. And that was not the point of this video. And another time, the other things people would comment on is they would say, Squiers are great guitars. You know, what is American guitars the only good guitars? And like, there's a lot of comments about people saying, you know, what's wrong with Squier guitars? And like, listen, that was not the point of the video whatsoever, is to say that Squiers are pieces of junk and American Fenders are the only guitar that you should ever buy. That wasn't it at all. It's just comparing Squiers that are faked to American Fenders that are real, okay? So I was comparing those two things because it was a great comparison to say usually fakes do what the Squiers have, and, you know, obviously the real ones do what the real ones do. All right, the next thing that people would say is this would go either one of two ways. They'd say, but my real Fender has fill in the blank, one of the things that I pointed out that the fakes do, or but my Squier has fill in the blank. Here's the deal whenever you're spotting something fake. Usually there's not just one thing that you go, they didn't do this, or they did do this, therefore it's a fake. Usually it's a culmination of things. So it is a bunch of things that you're looking out for. You know, you might have And I missed a lot of stuff, honestly, in the video. You know, just people were even commenting down below on things that I had missed, and I appreciate that, because now I know more things on what to spot. But you might have, let's say, a dozen things that you know that Fenders usually do fill in the blank. Well, if you come across a guitar and it has 5 things that are not done the way that Fender usually does it, chances are you're dealing with a fake. Okay, it's not saying that Fender never does that. You know, for example, string trees. Just about every Fender that I've ever seen has only had 1 string tree on it. But there's apparently some Fenders that have 2 string trees on it. Okay, great. That's awesome. Just because that's true in some cases doesn't mean that's something you shouldn't look out for. Well, another thing is Fender tuners. Apparently some Fender tuners, real Fenders don't have Fender labeled tuners. That's fine. But if you have, you know, a Fender guitar that's got, you know, 2 string trees, the tuners don't say Fender on them, the bridge is kind of the cheap chrome bridge, well, you're probably looking at a fake. Usually it's not going to be all 3 of those things that are real on a real guitar that are not quite right. And that same thing goes with Squier. You know, there was some people saying, well, my Squier has a walnut truss rod hole. That very, very well may be true. There may be a variation of Squier that does that. There may be one run that they did that was like that. It's not trying to say these are the 100% all the time things that are always done wrong, that are always fake. It's all in context. And that's the point of when you're spotting something fake, is to take it in context. To not just say, I'm looking for one thing. If you see one thing, then that's it. You know, take it all in context. Another comment that I got was something like, why are you saying that made in Mexican Fenders are not real Fenders? And I was not saying that whatsoever. For clarification's sake, I love made in Mexican Fenders. In fact, I have one, and it is probably my favorite guitar right now. Made in Mexican Fenders are real Fenders. They're labeled as Fender. Now, if you take a Fender guitar or a made in Mexican guitar and you try to pass it off as a USA Fender, then you would be faking a USA Fender. But made in Mexican Fenders are real. They're not, you know, they're not fake. I wasn't trying to say that in any way whatsoever in the video. Next thing that people would say is, man, 10 minutes to make a video that says how to spot a Fender in seconds. Now, I think that this comment is actually hysterical to some extent, because for 2 purposes. If I were to make a video that I just you know, was 10 seconds long, and I just said, hey, how to spot a fake, this, and this, and then posted it, that would be like the most useless video on YouTube. Obviously, it takes some time to know what to look for in order to spot something in seconds. You know, after the video, you could literally spot a fake Fender in seconds. It wouldn't be very, very hard to do. That's the purpose. It's how to spot a fake Fender in seconds, not, hey, watch me spot a fake Fender in seconds. And then also, I think it's kind of funny, this is kind of beside the point. By the way, on comments, like, I never respond negative. It's just a kind of rule that I've made, that I don't respond negatively back to people in comments. If they say something that's rude, you know, that's on them. I'm not gonna stress over it, get in an argument over something. I think it's funny that somebody would watch a 10-minute video and say, oh, it took 10 minutes to say how to spot it in seconds, when, like, you know how long a video is, right? Like, you click on a video, it shows you how many minutes it's going to take. You can see the little bar at the bottom going across. You know how long the video is. So if you're upset that it wasn't literally 10 seconds or 20 seconds for the video, I don't really know what to say. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But I would say this, that the overall, 99% of comments were positive on that video, and most of them were like, hey, thank you for this information. This was a very helpful video. You know, now I know what to look out for if I'm ever buying a Stratocaster. And that was the overwhelming comment. And so anyway, thank you guys for watching that video and watching this video. And if you liked it, please hit a thumbs up. subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Anyway, Kennis Russell out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.